Hey everyone, how's it going? I am Xeracon and I am back once again. Last week, I heard that a ROM site called Vimm's Lair had removed its games from the website because of Nintendo and Sega. Upon going to the website, you can actually see this message that was posted on June 6. Vimm's Lair has been asked to remove many games from the vault on behalf of Nintendo, Sega, Lego, and the ESA. While most of these games, and the hardware to play them on, haven't been sold in decades, ultimately it's their prerogative, so these games are now gone for good. As a side note, apparently some games had been removed before, but I was not aware of that and I don't see any postings on this website, so this is all that I'm hearing right now. So, it wasn't just Nintendo and Sega who had these games removed. Now, not every game is gone as stated, but there doesn't seem to be too much rhyme or reason as to which games are affected. For example, LEGO Star Wars 2 on GameCube was removed, but the PS2 version is fine. The ESA took down Madden, but left FIFA alone. And you could argue that's because the ESA is located in America and Madden is US-centric, but EA made both games, so you'd think both would have been pulled. The God of War games on PS3 were pulled, but Demon's Souls was left alone. Actually, a lot of Sony-published PS3 games were removed. And on the topic of Demon's Souls, Dark Souls 1 and its Prepare to Die edition were pulled, but Dark Souls 2 and Scholar of the First Sin are still up. So again, this doesn't make much sense. Also, I figured that Nintendo will have wiped every game made by them from the site, but there are actually some that still exist, as you can see on the screen. Of course, this can change at any time, but considering that Nintendo is already struck, maybe this is the extent of the damage. Now, considering that Vimm's Lair has existed since 1997, it makes you wonder why only now it was hit, especially when other ROM sites have been shut down in more recent years. At this point, all we can really do is just speculate. I've seen some people blame it on Apple users because iOS now has native support for emulators. The reason is that iPhone users kept asking where to get games for the emulators, and people were openly sharing this info, which ended up with Vimm getting into hot water. I don't have any theory as to why this is happening, but I don't think that iPhone users are to blame. At least, not completely. Emulation has been going on for a long time, and I remember people mentioning Vimm's Lair here and there back when I was on Twitter. So it's not like this is completely new, but who knows, I could be completely wrong here. Regardless, if you happen to want to see what's still available there, you can do it. Obviously, I'm not saying you should do it. Emulating games is not a good thing, and I'm definitely not saying this because an Italian plumber is aiming a sniper rifle at me on a nearby rooftop. With that being said, what you do is your decision. If you choose to do it, I certainly can't stop you. To wrap things up, this is definitely a huge blow for people who want to emulate retro games for one reason or another. Yes, there are other sites out there, but none were as prolific as Vimm's Lair, from what I've heard of course. And while there are still games on there, it has been gutted of a lot of good titles. One piece of advice I would like to share though, if you are aware of similar sites and you want to keep them the way they are, don't go parading them. Keep such things underground and they won't suffer a similar fate. But that will do it for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, I appreciate it. I meant to put this out a little earlier, but as I mentioned in the Orange Box podcast, I had some computer issues due to some foolishness on my end. And speaking of, you can catch the new episode that came out yesterday. So until next time everyone. And speaking of, you can catch the new episode that came out yesterday. I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. So until next time everyone, I am Xeracon signing off. Have a good one.